looking back at the life of Pope Benedict. And joining me now is Mary Fahy from Catholic Voices. Marie, sorry, I beg your pardon, I call you Mary. Marie, thank you so much for joining us. What do you think that for you the Pope embodies, his life embodies? When you think of him, I mean, some people label him as the conservative Pope. Some people in Germany, they call him the German Pope and what have you. He was quite radical in his way. He was a theologian. I can't even say the word. He was somebody who was very, very studious, a full professor at the age of 35. For you, when you think of Pope Benedict, what strikes you the most?
The first thing that strikes me is that he was a man of God. Recently, when Pope Francis asked for prayers for him, he said, this man is a saint, and he was, and that's what he did with us. He tried to challenge us to be saints. And from my personal experience, I would say the effect he had on me as a person, and the effect, I used to be an RE teacher in a secondary school, and the effect he had on them through his teaching. Strangely enough, as an amazing theologian, he had the great ability to be able to put quite complicated or profound truths into very simple language.
One of the things people point to is Joseph of Nazareth, and how he brought Jesus of Nazareth, I beg your pardon, and how he brought Jesus to life, as it were, rather than just, the person, the man, the issues, the conflict.
Absolutely. He always said that religion was never really a moral choice, or it was never a problem. It was always an encounter with a person, with an event, and that event was Jesus. And once you got that personal encounter, and the other thing he said was that each of us, this was teaching of Jesus, which is so amazing, but he was able to say it in a way that I think spoke to our time. Things like he said, each of us is a thought of God. We are all loved, we're all willed, we're all necessary. And I used to find with teaching that, you can have nice slogans on mugs, or you can have, things that people make up on T-shirts and things. But when you say to a teenager, actually, this is what the church has always taught. And the Pope had such a good way of relating that across. I was lucky enough to be there in 2010 when he came to Hyde Park. And for me, there was 80,000 people there. And, in my time, I've been to great rock festivals and things like that, but this was it was the most amazing experience of my life, really. There was joy, there was peace. It was across the road. Previously, 500 years ago, Catholics were killed for their faith. And there in Hyde Park, we all were in this profound silence with the Pope. Everybody, different races, different ages, different religions even. And that visit, I think, had a real effect for so many people, as well as his teaching and the things he told us.
And the languages that he spoke as well. He was a great communicator as well. I mean, English, and even Hebrew, and of course Latin. And coming to that Latin, the very quiet pronouncement that he's basically said, I'm too old to be holding this role anymore. That in itself, I mean, to be the first Pope to actually say, I'm too frail of body and mind to continue being the Pope, first in 600 years. The great humility to say, to step back for somebody else and not die in the office.
I think that's it. I think his whole life, even from when he was first a priest and throughout his whole priesthood, when he worked under John Paul II, the whole time his focus was on that humility and being at one with Christ and teaching that to the best of his ability. And he said he had a duty to resign if he felt he physically and mentally couldn't no longer fulfill the role, because the role is obviously that of St. Peter, and there's a direct line back to St. Peter, 267 popes, and you can see all their names on the list in the Vatican. And we believe that office is what Jesus left us with, the church. And he no longer felt emotionally, spiritually, and physically well enough to do that. So, yeah, you're right. It was a great act of humility and a great act of courage, I think. And he was prepared for that challenge. One of the things he said was that to the young people was that, you know, the world offers you comfort, and it's easy for us to go for comfort, but we're not made for that. We're made for greatness. And I think he didn't take the comfortable way out there. He knew that he wasn't able to do it. So he did the right thing. And I suspect, being such a prayerful man, it was a terribly hard decision for him to make. But fortunately, you know, Francis said he saw him, Pope Francis, as his like grandfather, and so supported in prayer from the side. Yeah, absolutely.
So he was still there as a rock all the way through. Marie, thank you so much for that insight of a very great man passing. Marie Fahy of Catholic Voices there with some great insights.